Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the On Time, On Target Morning Brief. We're coming at you live again from day 3 of Orange Beach, Alabama. You can see the beautiful beach there behind me. Some big news in overnight. Of course, late yesterday, we had Trump coming out and saying that the COVID stimulus bill is unsuitable, calling for $2,000 checks instead of $600 per person. So we'll see where that goes. What's really more interesting there is that Pelosi almost immediately agreed with him, which when does that ever happen, right? So we'll see how that plays out today. Obviously, in the next couple days, I think something will get signed. Biden has chimed in and said that he would rather do more stimulus later in subsequent bills, but all of us are kind of hoping that maybe there aren't any more subsequent bills. So we shall see. The other part about that is overnight, we also heard that Pfizer and BioNTech got approval and funding for another 100 million doses of the vaccine. And what that means to you and I is that everybody in the U.S. who wants to take the vaccine will have it by June of 21. That's really only a small, 6 months away, 5 maybe, if you're talking beginning of June. So that's great news, and that's why the markets are in the green. I've got a great show for you today. The topics we're going to talk about are sports gambling. Obviously, with COVID, people staying home. Sports gambling has been a boon, if you will. I don't do it myself, but I know many that do and many that have picked it up to kind of fight the boredom of the stay-at-home environment. And then secondly, for taxation purposes, bigger states like Texas and California are taking a look at legalizing this, again, for the tax revenue. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Also, it's end of year, so we're going to talk a little bit about tax loss harvesting for our question of the day. So with that, let's go ahead and get the show started. All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the On Time, On Target Morning Brief, where we invest with fighter pilot precision every day. Make sure you have your chat room set up and your Q&A window set up with the appropriate selections as annotated here. Full disclaimer applies. This is a financial education presentation, so you have to do your own due diligence for acting upon anything you hear in this presentation. And full disclaimer information is available at ototnow.com. All right, as you heard in the brief, exciting news out of the vaccine world is another 100 million doses inbound by June. That means you and I, especially if we aren't in any of the target groups, now at least we'll have the option by June. And of course, the joke going out there on the chat sites and comment is we'll have landfills full of the vaccines by July, right? Because a lot of people aren't going to take this thing, which probably won't help things. I don't know. That's up to you, personal decision. But you're supposed to defeat things by having 100% vaccination. So we'll see how it all plays out. But we'll at least have that option. So what does that really mean? With a bunch of people not wanting to take it, that maybe, I don't know, being a healthy 50-year-old, I might even have the vaccine by March. I don't know. That's kind of my over-under right now. We'll see how it all plays out. Okay, the other headline, of course, is Trump in the news, kind of scoffing the stimulus bill. Who knows if this is still a political type thing? But he's calling for $2,000 per person. He's saying $600 isn't enough. The memes were on fire yesterday about how far $600 gets you with your bills and everything. And so, I don't know. I didn't really think 600 was a bad number until I kind of heard everybody complaining about it. And it sure seems like, yeah, okay, maybe 1,200 was a better number, which again, you conditioned everybody the first time around 1,200. So now you only get 600. So obviously people are going to complain about that. I don't know. We'll see how that plays out today. Pelosi agreed with Trump. It's like, what? That didn't happen. So we'll see what comes out of it. I think something does get signed probably no later than tomorrow. just so we have some stimulus going into Christmas and checks flowing next week before the end of the year. Standard rules apply. If you didn't get it last time, you probably won't get it this time. And if you did get it last time, you'll get it through the same mechanism you got it last time, whether that's a direct deposit, whether that's a gift card in the mail. Don't throw things away that are mailed from the government. So, all right. Here we are today, Wednesday, December 23rd. We are not doing a brief tomorrow, so no briefing tomorrow. I'm going to be in travel status, and it's only half day anyway, so volume will be light. We'll catch back up on the following Monday, which is what, the 28th, almost to the end of the year. Okay, mission objectives today. We're going to grow our money, protect our money, and live off our money, specifically talking about growing our money through capitalizing on a theme out there. And I don't care if you're a gambler or not. I'm not. I like to play poker. I don't consider it gambling because if the same players win most of the time, can it really be gambling? No. I know people argue with me, but I don't really care. It's a game of skill. But from a true gambling perspective, which I consider sports gambling, you could make an argument that it's skill based and that everybody else is throwing darts, but there are professionals out there that, I don't know. I'm not really taking your argument, but I could see it. I could see it anyway. But really, it's the boredom of staying at home has gotten a lot more people interested in this. So I do like fantasy sports. I play fantasy football. I'm in several leagues. It's pretty fun. I like it. Makes kind of watching the NFL a little more interesting than, especially if you have a terrible team like me, with being a Raiders fan. But the real issue there is people are going online through like DraftKings and placing small bets. But when a whole bunch of people are doing it, obviously that adds up to a big business. So we're going to take a look at that, as well as maybe traditional casinos. If everybody has a vaccine by June, is it time to get into casino stocks? I'm certainly going to take a hard look at that today. If I don't get to it today, I'm going to look at it tomorrow. And I do kind of think it's time to load up on a few of these. We'll see. I don't generally like short-term trades being, 6 months, but I think that that's probably a better bet than the cruise lines or the airline industry, if you will. Better bet. See what I did there? All right, it's early. I got it. Okay, for our question of the day is, what is tax loss harvesting? It is the end of the year. We'll go ahead and go through Investopedia and talk about what that means in your taxable accounts. All right, our flow for today is going to be long, short, open, short, long. We're going to talk about the market review. Where are we with our own futures, as well as what happened around the world last night. And then we're going to take a look at our headline review. We have a jobs number out this morning. So again, that's normally a Thursday thing, but a short week. So that's a Wednesday thing this week. And then we're going to take a look at some of the headlines for the day and what's actually moving the market out there. For our long-term investments, the names we're going to take a look at are DraftKings, which I already talked about. LCA is Lancadia something Holdings. That is, again, a SPAC, a special purpose acquisition company that's supposed to have already transitioned its name to GNOG, which is Golden Nugget Online Gaming. So it fits our theme, even though it hasn't officially made the transition yet. So we'll look at that chart. It's poised to go higher. So anyhow, I have a bunch of it. So we shall see. BETS is the ETF, which is focusing mostly on the online gaming piece. And then BJK is Blackjack, if you will. It's the original kind of gaming and casino stock one without all the online stuff. Now, these have gotten kind of gray because both of them have pieces of each other in them. But certainly if you want to focus on more on the online, kind of the leading technology, then BETS is the way to go. So we'll take a look at both of those charts. All right, for the short-term trades, let me go back to the chat row here and chat again and populate those. So there they should have just popped up. You can see them there. We're looking at Sorrento Long on approval for their COVID-19 vaccine testing, and they're kind of at the beginning of it. And then Nikola continues to disappoint. They lost another contract last night, so that'll be our primary long and short for the day. You can see the rest of the names there. We'll get to those if we have time to talk about them. We'll execute the market open. We'll transition to our Q&A. Make sure to populate your questions there so I can answer them for you. And then we'll go on into my question of the day about tax loss harvesting. If you have any contingencies out there, reach out to me at Steve@OTOT now, and we'll get those taken care of. All right, let's take a look at TD Ameritrade ThinkPipes platform. This is the S&P 500. Make sure you can see all of it here. So again, this is about an 8-month look. So we're not really looking back at the March phase. So almost a straight line higher. How are we going to finish the year? I don't know. Within where we are, right? I think we've got enough good news between stimulus and the vaccine rollout that the market's going to hold. I don't see a massive sell-off, even though there is some selling going into the end of the year with tax loss harvesting. So we'll see how that plays out. Let's focus in on the last 5 days. and bring up the S&P 500 here again on a 5-minute, 5-day chart. Again, pretty flat across the board so far this week. Again, this was the weekend right here as signified to this red line, but really the market's been pretty flat. Apple went higher. Some other few things went lower, but other than that, pretty sideways across the board. All right, focusing in on our short-term stuff for today. Here's how you can set up your trading charts if you want to play along. We hit again Sorrento long. Again, that's the red arrow right there. Not drawn very well on my part, but showing you that we're going to take Sorrento long. And then Nikola over here, we're going to look at this short again based off that lost contract. So that's what we'll take a look at when we get back to our trading. Okay, let's switch over to CNBC.com. We'll go take a look at where the futures are and walk around the world. So here in the US, those are refreshed. You see the NASDAQ's about even. The Dow and the S&P are up a 1/4 point. So, even though Trump did, so you're right, slam the COVID stimulus bill, I do think we're going to get something here in the next day or two. So I think there will be just a small little bit of political posturing, if you will. And then we're going to get something passed. So that's why I'm optimistic that we hold the levels of green. Okay, Europe is a green across the board. Always good news. All of Asia is green across the board. They were red yesterday, so green today. Here are our numbers from yesterday. Dow is 2/3 in the red, 2/3 of a point. S&P slightly in the red, but NASDAQ in the green, largely carried by the tech names out there. As far as bonds, creeping up on 0.94%. There's a lot of negativity about the bonds next year. That's coming out as people come out with their 2021 forecasts. Again, if you're an individual bondholder, which many of us are, it doesn't affect your bond. You just simply get paid out with the interest rate that you have per the contract that is in the bond. So if it's a 5% bond, it's going to pay you 5%. Now, if the valuation of that bond, you're going to see that move in your portfolio, and it's going to move up or down based on interest rates and a bunch of other things. So, but you don't care about that. Now, if you're a bond fund holder, then you do care about this stuff. That's why I generally put our bond money into FIXD. You've probably seen that show up in your portfolio, and I keep a close eye on that. To see how that's reacting to interest rates out there. I don't see interest rates going much higher than 1% on the 10-year, which again is historically low, but we'll keep an eye on it. That's why we look at it every single day. All right, oil is another interesting story. So it's up at 47 right now, and I like that 40 to 60 range because that's quote unquote normal. But remember back to March, oil futures, March and April, oil futures went to zero. Literally, they couldn't give it away fast enough. Kind of crazy how fast things move in a year. I don't really see a real threat to oil in the coming future, but it certainly happened back in March. Kind of crazy to think that was only 8-9 months ago. All right, as far as the precious metals are up across the board, and then over to the Bitcoin story. Bitcoin got hit a little bit. You know that Ripple got sued by the SEC, and of course that gets everybody excited, right? Because if Ripple's getting sued, that means the SEC is really taking a hard look at the cryptocurrencies. And if you got to try pretty hard to get on the SEC's radar, but once you're on it, you're immediate. You need to get off it, right? So I don't know. I think for most folks, if you're into Ripple, you got to dump it, switch into something else, or take a breather on the cryptocurrency space until we kind of see how the whole thing plays out with the SEC. So that's my take on it. I still have no dollars behind any crypto. So that's about all I can say there. Is if I believed, I'm starting to believe, but if I actually did believe, then I would have money there. Okay. Let's go ahead and take a look at the headline reviews of the day. We talked about Trump calling it unsuitable and calling for 2,000 a person. We'll see if that actually happens. There's our jobless number. It was less than expected. So we expected almost 900,000. It's at 800,000. So we'll get an unemployment number. Again, unemployment continues to trend in the correct direction. And of course, the vaccination of, I have several healthcare worker friends that have either gotten the full vaccination or the first portion of the vaccination. So that's pretty cool. There's the 100 million more COVID shots by July. I saw June or earlier in the headline. So sometime this summer, right? And a lot of people won't take it. So like I said, my call for myself is March is when I think I'll end up getting it as a low threat kind of guy. ARK Innovation, if you've heard of these funds out there, they're pretty good. ARKF and ARKK and ARKQ are kind of the three. I do have some of those, not really widespread, but if folks don't like individual stocks, then that's a good way to hold a lot of the interesting names out there that if you don't, because they're really focused funds, so kind of actively managed, if you will. Okay, here's our crypto, 25% drop in Ripple overnight. So have fun with that if you're a crypto person. Okay, here's the Nikola. We're going to day trade to this to the downside. The Nikola and Republic Services terminate their partnership on a garbage truck. I don't know how big that contract is, but Nikola ends up having negative news pretty much all the time. And so this is just one more straw on the camel's back of reason why to dump that stock. Okay, let's switch to our long-term theme of online gaming again. What's the impetus behind this is people are bored. They're sitting at home. They don't have a lot of live sports to watch or as much as they're used to. They can't get out and play them. There's another theme out there that obesity will be the theme of the year for 2021. It's fighting obesity because everybody's put on their COVID-19 pounds. And, they used to joke about the freshman 15 in college. So poor college kid goes off to college your first year in 2020. Does that mean freshman 34 by the time you add those two together? I don't know. We'll see. But going back to gaming, a lot of money flowing into this. They, the professionals take the professional, the house, if you will, takes a little bit of vig or a little bit of juice off of each of these. So they make money on almost every trade as long as the trades are balanced. So pretty good way just to sit back and collect some money. DraftKings has run up. I'm not a buyer here of DraftKings, but I still hold a ton of it. When you look at other names out here, here's our SPAC, which is this Lancadia Holdings. It has run up. It's bouncing off of 24 here. I do think this thing goes to 30, probably higher than 30 once it gets its new ticker, right? So even though it's already doubled in the past month and a half, normally I would stay well clear of something that's doubled in that short of time frame. But these SPACs have been on fire, and when they get their new ticker, I think it will get added to a whole bunch of mutual funds and ETFs, and it will at least go 25% higher based off of the news alone. All right, I promised you the ETF version. So here's BETS, which is the Roundhill Sports iGaming, if you will. So, kind of a fancy name. It's not that old. It's gone straight up since inception. If I were to get into an index fund, this would be the one. The other option out there is BJK, which is Blackjack, which is a little bit older. It's a gaming ETF, so it's barely back above its March highs. So that's a consideration for you if you want either of those. All right, let's go ahead and go over to our ThinkPipes platform and get set up for our day trades. Again, two themes today. You can see in the chat, I'll hit the chat with those one more time because I saw somebody just show up. So chat and copy, paste. Okay, there they are back in the chat for the new person that just chimed in here. All right, looking at Sorrento Long, again, FDA approval to start testing on their vaccine. Yeah, they're late to the prom, but that's going to pop up. They are currently up 9%. So we're looking at them long. And if the market goes long, of course, that would be your momentum play. On the downside, we have Nikola with the busted contract we talked about for the garbage trucks. So again, you see the red arrow down there. It is showing some strength going into the open after that big sell-off from 16.8 to 14.8. I kind of like that because that gives us room. But again, both left side or for Sorrento, you're looking at about a 10-cent stop, and on the right side, you're looking at about a 20-cent stop for Nikola. So give me a second to get my chart set up, and we'll get started. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the On Time on Target play of the day. We have 30 seconds to the market open. You're looking at three screens here on TD Ameritrade ThinkPipes. On the left screen, you have the 1-minute chart for the S&P 500 called the SPY. So we'll zoom in there a little bit. Well, we have two trades. I have SRNE, which is Sorrento Therapeutics long. And on the right screen, we're looking at Nikola, which is an electric vehicle truck maker, short. So stand by for the opening bell. There we go. All right, zoom in on both of these. Again, I like the short a little bit better here. So looking at a 20-cent stop. High of the day is up here at 15.6. I don't want to let this go too far. Now, so 15.40 is going to be our entry point. So get ready for that entry. Let's go ahead and take it here at 1539. I'm going to call it 1540 for my math. So get that drawn again. Sorrento, Nicola short, 15.6. Got to hedge just a little bit. So let's go up to 1561 as far as our stop. We want to get above that high of the day. So a 20-cent stop there. So in at 15.4, and your stop is at 1561. All right. As far as our price targets on the way down, our first R level is 1520, which is getting close to now. The second R level is going to be down here at 15, and then our exit point is going to be at 14.8. So again, if we hit that 14.8, we are going to be out and put our 3R trade in the books. Now, the last 2 days, I did have internet issues right around the market open, so I don't know if I'm sitting in the middle of day trading central here in Southern Beach, Alabama, South Beach, Orange Beach, Alabama, or not. But so far, everything looks like it's trading normal. So again, in Nicola short at 1540 is the entry point. If you want to take it late here, you still could, but you're going to have a huge stop to cover that high of the day. So we'll just let that continue to cook. All right, on the left-hand side, we're looking at our Sorrento long. I don't like that entry at all. It was up 10% earlier. Now it's only up 6%, so you can say only, right? But I don't see it going all the way back to the 10%. So I'm going to switch the left-hand screen to another short out there, Fubo. If you're familiar with Fubo, it's a TV streaming online kind of provider. They are getting crushed, and they got a downgrade was the reason behind that. So obviously this one would have worked as well because it's dropping off a cliff this morning as far as a short, but you can't really take it here because it's already down 14% on the day. So let's take a look at some other names out there. We'll continue to focus on the short theme because those tend to be working right now. MVIS, I don't know what that company is or does, but I did see it got a downgrade. So it's Microvision. Oh, wow. They're down 18% here. So gosh, they opened at 840. It would have been tough to grab that, but again, falling off a cliff there. So don't know what's driving that down, but it certainly is going straight south. Checking back to our trade. Again, Nicola, we're in at 15.4. We're almost at the 2R point. So again, looking to exit at 1480, currently sitting at 1505 and dropping like a rock. So I like how that trade is continuing. So we'll just sit and monitor it. Okay. All right, let's take a look at, there's a couple therapeutic names in here that were low volume that I didn't want to hop in. They're kind of high risk, but let's see if they would have worked. This is more if you trade all day kind of thing is where you would sit and take a look at these. VYGR, which is not even popping. Oh, there it is. So down 12%, opened at 9, sitting down below 8. Yeah, all of the money was being made or lost, right? that's at the close. Never mind. Looking over here, it's so low volume, the chart confused me. So, all right, open at 793, only moved 4 cents on the day. I wouldn't go near that. I don't think it's going to have enough action for you, if you will. And then the other one is SPPI. Again, another ticker that is new to me. But let's take a look at SPPI. All right, same thing, low volume. That's why the charts look significantly different. And it's over here in kind of trash territory. It's open at 398 down to 387. So again, I wouldn't touch that. Both those have a negative FDA news though. The only other long I wanted to look at, again, Sorrento was a long. So we'll check back to SRNE, which wasn't working earlier and it's still not working now. But the other one was DQ, which I can't believe is Dairy Queen because I think those are private. What is DQ? Dayquo Energy. Had gapped up, but obviously that didn't hold, so it's selling off as well. So even though the market's up, neither of the two longs that we had worked, but the one short that we're in is working. And again, that's Nicola. It's at the 2R point right now, so you've already doubled the risk this morning. And again, we're going to hold out for 1480 for that triple. Let's look at some other pet names in this other screen while we're at it. Let's see what our favorite coffee firm from China is doing this morning. Okay, NCY. What do you think, up or down? I think up. All right, up 22 cents. Obviously, this thing touched $10 not too long ago, but it's up at 885 with strength coming out of the close yesterday. So I'm not worried about lucking. I think it's again, like I said, it's going to 20. I may give up on that. If it gets up in the high teens, I might call that good enough since our entry points are around $2 to $3. But we'll see. All right, let's check out Palantir, excuse me. Also been on fire lately, almost up to 30. So again, if you got in right at the IPO, which was $10, you've taken a triple in what, 6-8 weeks. So that's doing well. ASON is another one. Asana, it hasn't been as good as Palantir, but it's certainly out of the red and it's going back higher. Sold off a little bit today. Let's take a look at Apple. Obviously had the iCar news yesterday, and it's going to be a while, but I think, and the analysts are all over this. They're like, cars are low margin. And I get that because I've said that a lot, that cars are low margin. But the difference is, I think they're looking at the non-traditional car, more of the, transportation vehicle network of things that, where they're all white and they're all the same. And that, there's not all these features and all the other crap that, that makes cars have this low margin thing. So that's how I think all that's going to play out. So I'm not really worried about Apple. Now, Tesla, I am worried about Tesla. It sold off 8% in a couple days. So let's see what today holds. So it looks like it's down 1.5% today. Again, I think this thing has huge downside. Huge, just huge. Yeah, back like to 100. I mean, I think this thing could drop 70, 80%. But I've been wrong, so I'll continue to be wrong, probably. We'll see. Okay, start closing it out with some of our gambling names that we talked about today. DraftKings is one of them, basically holding even. Let's see what LCA is doing today. Holding even as well. Let's look at bets. Ooh, bets is popping up. Now, there will be legislation, I don't know when, but if Texas and California legalize gambling, these things are going to be must-own stocks. I mean, they're going to double just due to the amount of people that are in these kind of states. So that's why I may take a hard look at them. I don't say may, I will take a hard look at them in the next day or two to try to figure out how I want to allocate to this. So again, bets is jumping on the news. Online gambling push. There's some articles out this morning. So up 2%. So that's not bad. All right, our trade's doing just fine. We're up 2R, so it's bouncing right around 15. So there's going to be some resistance. Usually when there's resistance at a level like this, once it breaks that resistance, it'll stripe right down to 14.8. So that's my take. All right, let's go ahead and go to the long-term look and take a look at some names out there. LKYSF and Shroom F are both psychedelic plays. There's PLTR. RVVTF is Revive Therapeutics, also psychedelic. Delta's up today, 2.5%. Again, these are vaccine news, so you'd imagine the cruise lines and the shopping, retail, and airlines are all going to be up on the, the vaccine, another 100 million doses news. KWeb is up today. That's a favorite of mine as far as Chinese technology. Pfizer as well as BioNTech have both been doing well. Let's take a look at the downside. What's going on? Clickstream's down 12% today. Not worried. Nikola, that's our short, down 10%. So we want to see that down to about 11%, and then we'll be out of our trade. We'll check back on it in a minute. Moderna's down. So Moderna was kind of the second to the prom as far as the vaccine. So it must be down on the news of Pfizer getting the contract for another 100 million doses. So, I joked about it earlier, but it's kind of not a joke. I do think we could end up with landfills of vaccines. At the end, Operation Warp Speed is going to be Operation Vaccine Landfill in July when we have all these doses. But hey, better to Air Force leadership was always better to why simply react when you have the time and energy to overreact? But we're doing it for all the right reasons, saving lives, and opening up the economy. So small price to pay. All right, Zoom selling off again. Could be the beginning and the end of Zoom if the economy is opening back up. All right, that is it for the names I'm going to look at today. Let's check back on our trade. Oh, our trade actually reversed, so we're back up to almost to the even point. Again, I'm not worried about it. Keep your upper stop of 15.6 and your lower stop of 14.8 and just let it ride. Okay, let me finish up with my question of the day, which is going to be what is tax loss harvesting? So going back to Google Chrome, switching over to Investopedia, and here you can see a screen on tax loss harvesting. So here's what you do. So when you make money in the stock market, if you buy Apple and you hold it for a couple of years and you're up a whole bunch of money, well, you don't owe any taxes unless you sell it. When you do sell it or sell a portion of it, generally, like trimming a position, then you're going to own a capital gains tax. If you hold it over a year, it'll be a long-term capital gain. If you hold it a year or less, it'll be a short-term capital gain, which is taxed at the same level as your income. So you want to try to hold things for over a year if you can. Sometimes you can't. If something doubles on you in 2 weeks, like, Luck and Coffee, or goes up 5 times, and yeah, sometimes it's just a smart thing to do is to sell some of it where you're going to have capital gains based off of that. So I often tell my clients, I'm causing you tax problems the more I make you money, and that's good. You should, if I'm not causing you tax problems, I'm probably not doing all that well in your portfolio for you. So when you have these capital gains that add up, so say you make 100,000 a year and you have another 20,000 in capital gains, well, that may be enough to even bump you in a tax bracket. So what I do, or what you can do if you're a home gamer, is you look in your portfolio, and at the end of a year, if you can find something that's down on the year, is sell it. And you sell it in December, and whatever, you 1 for 1. So say in that case where you make 100,000 a year and you have 20,000 in capital gains. Say you took a swing at some biotech that went straight south and you lost $4,000. Well, by selling that and realizing that $4,000 loss, you're basically offsetting $4,000 in taxes. So if you're in a 25% bracket, which those levels aren't quite, but just to make the math easy, you're saving yourself $1,000 in taxes by getting rid of these losses. So you don't want losses. That's the goal. Don't lose money. But if you are losing money, you want to offset your gains with it. Now, if this is a stock you love and it's gone down, say you were in Luck and Coffee earlier when it dropped from $50 to $1, sell it. You have to wait 30 days. So make a note to yourself, write it on your little calendar or set it in your phone to buy it back in February. So you have to get past the 30 days. But you can certainly, if you love the stock, even though it's been costing you money, if you really want it back, you can buy it back 30 days later. So that's how you handle the whole tax loss harvesting thing. There are times when I sell things that I would rather hold on to just for the tax consequences of it, and that's being very efficient with your taxes out there. On this page, there are several math examples, which I'm not going to go through any of them because they are long and detailed. So if you want more, that's where you can go. But tax loss harvesting does not happen automatically. You either need to do it yourself or through your advisor. So, all right, that's all I've got for you today. Let's check back to the trade before I let you go and see if it's hanging in there. Yeah, so it's right about at the entry point. So again, keep your stops in. I don't have any reason to believe that nickel is going to go higher today. So just leave that in and then check back 5 minutes before the close and make sure you're flat by the end of the day. With that, I'm going to let you go, and we will, again, no show tomorrow because I'm going to be traveling. And then Friday is obviously Christmas, so the markets are closed. So I will see you all back Monday. Have a good one.